for me, growing up as a kid, I grew up in Mossman, and I was lucky to have parents that supported us, or myself and my brother, in whatever we wanted to do. And I played basketball as a kid before playing soccer, and I think it was grade 10 I started playing for the local club, and found out I was half okay being a goalkeeper. And I think I played 2 seasons with the club, and then the women's team folded, and I to be better, I had to come to Cairns. So 3 times a week, travel the range. And in some respects, though, it was really good because I got, I had my learners, and it was great to be able to get your night driving on and learn how to drive with not too many cars around. And so there was always an upside to that. I was really lucky that I had supportive parents that, again, paid for me to access Australian schoolgirls, or the school program, and pay those fees, and allow me to go away, get selected, pay for those trips. Because it wasn't until I moved to Brizzy and went to uni, and made some of these top underage Australian teams, and then get a scholarship to the AIS, that stuff started becoming free. And but again, I was probably in the right space, right spot at the right time with a lot of my opportunities, in that they were starting to do talent ID programs, looking towards Sydney 2000. I know for me, being in the soccer, the World Cup qualifiers were in PNG one year. I think it was 95. It might have been 95 or end 94. And the Matildas were having a camp in Cairns, and here's this 6 foot tall raw goalkeeper. What better opportunity? Let's let her have a crack in the camp. And I think I'd made maybe one Australian team, underage team, at that stage. And so, again, kind of in the right spot at the right time. Would I have had that opportunity being in Brisbane? Maybe not. But the fact that there was a camp here allowed me that. So, they were some of the challenges. And back when I was finishing grade 12, for high performing athletes, there was the whole, do senior over 3 years, 11 and 12 over 3 years. And that was a big thing. I was like, no, I want to do my educate, get that over and done with, get it done. So I stayed home and did that, and supportive teachers, and so it certainly takes a village when you come from a regional area. It definitely takes a village to get you, to where you've got to have that desire. And I, always knew that it was wanted to just have a crack. And I guess just make everyone proud, small town proud. And but it took a village to have that happen. And from my teachers to my parents to my brother, it was to some of my coaches as well. One coach, George Merrin, who's no longer with us, but he followed my career all the way through. And you remember those people.
You're a twin, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah. So having your brother in your is he amazingly good at sports too, or is it what did you get all that?
He's all right. He's pretty good with riding bikes and motorbikes and all of that sort of stuff. He was all right. I didn't start playing soccer until I was in grade 10, so I was at about 15.
Yeah.
And he because he played soccer, and because we were twins, we used to fight a lot. So I played basketball, he played soccer, and eventually the opportunity came up for, a girls team, and managed to jump on board. But he goes all right, but doesn't have my talent.
You make sure you send this to him. He sees this, it's like, yeah. Who the girl? Yeah. I bet you guys were like kicking each other in the womb.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, the sport probably started off as boxing, like way back.
Yeah, definitely. But no, my dad, I don't know, like I just always loved like throwing a ball around, and we'd go away every Christmas to Mackay, and we'd always have a tennis ball generally in the car, and you'd stop and you'd just get out, and Dad and I would just throw the tennis ball and try and throw it as hard as you could. And so my catching, my eye-hand coordination was definitely, I think, bred out of that.
Talk me through your soccer career. Like once we've gone through the background and all that, and that's uber cool. But the Matildas.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. And tell me about the goals that you saved that ensured that the country won. All right. Over that.
You've done some good.
I've done my research, Butland. I've done my research.
I did actually. Well, I found a DVD actually this afternoon, but I don't know how good it is. So and certainly haven't watched anything for a long time. But I moved. I played a lot of the junior stuff, and then moved to Brizzy and Queensland Academy of Sport scholarship. And leading into 2000, the Australian Olympic Committee got a lot of funding, and the Women's Association, because it was separate to the Socceroos side of things back in those days. There was the Women Association, and then there was the male side of things. Got a heap of funding, Sydney 2000 leading in, and I got a gig in Canberra, to live in Canberra at the AIS for a couple of years, and I guess from there working with the top goalkeepers at that stage, and I hadn't made my Matildas debut at that stage, and just sort of worked hard, and that was July 1998, and then in January 1999 I made my debut against Italy in Sydney at Marconi Stadium, and I think it was one of the first televised female matches on SBS.
It was. That's correct.
Yeah, so
checked it.
Yep, lasted 26 minutes. 26 minutes, tore my AC joint, grade 2 tear, out for 6 weeks. Great debut. But my mum and dad were there to watch, so pretty thankful for that.
Watching you roll around the ground screaming.
Yeah, wasn't it was probably one of my first like real injuries, and so it was. Yeah, I look back at it now and you go, could you have pushed through? Probably not, but you learn a lot about yourself. Well, I certainly did, around your pain thresholds and what you're able to, I guess, manage and take before you know that you have to stop. But that's another story. And recovered from that. Got on a trip to Portugal. For the Algarve Cup, where I think we played, I forget who the first team was. Then we played Portugal and Sweden. I know that much because they're the 2 games that I played. But it was a championship that you had to have a result at the end of every game. And so if it was a draw, and it went through extra time. It went to penalties, and to see you had to have a clear-cut winner. And so my second game for Australia was against Portugal, and we'd had a penalty shootout in the first game, and our keeper at the time sort of didn't have good luck with that. And so in this game against Portugal, and coach says, "All right, Joe, just have a crack, just pick, you got a 50-50 chance." We'd done a bit of shot taking and penalty stopping, and just go and have a crack. And so I was like, all righty, and managed to save two, and we win the game. And bang, yep. Bit of I got goosebumps actually. Bit of a hero for that. And I don't think I played the next game. And then we played Sweden in maybe the 3-4 playoff game or something like that. And I think we were 1-1, I reckon. I think it was 1-1. And again went into a penalty shootout. Saved one. Good height. And diving. They weren't easy. And I think one of our players missed one. And so it was, even, and then, eventually saved another one, and again, a bit of a hero. So, so my second and third game for Australia were, they were pretty memorable. And, you had to have that air of, it's probably when I first realised that you kind of had to have a bit of air of, it wasn't cockiness, but you had to show that confidence and display it. And it's a game of, I guess, psyching people out in some respect, and who's gonna win. And it was pretty cool.
So is it like the TV where you're doing them? Was it? I mean, is that kind of what happened?
Well, you don't. Well, you see it a little bit now. Like you walk out to walk out around the spot and come off your line a little bit, and if they're ready, well, you're not, and a bit of you sort of play around with them a little bit, and I don't know how I'd go now with the rule that you have to have at least 1 foot on the line, but because you're always sort of taught get forward, that get a couple of steps in if you could, and just narrow your angles a little bit, and not by much, but and just have a go. It was. I loved it. That pressure. It's back against the wall.
You liked it.
Yeah.
Worse.
Well, if you did well and you stopped one or you psyched someone out, then hey, how awesome, how great are you? If you didn't, oh well, it is what it is. It's difficult, and it's good pressure.
So you were talking about the pain tolerance thing and said, well, that's another conversation. So let's have that.
Yeah, I guess lessons that you learn when you're an athlete, and understanding your body. I think kids, or certainly as a kid, I was lucky. I never really had too many injuries, and wasn't until I got older and really started getting into the gym and that I started to get a few injuries. And now not now, a little while ago, I realized exactly what sort of pain threshold you could sort of get through, and what was, and it's probably educating yourself as well, because you've had a few injuries, and what's really an injury, what's not, what can you work through, what can't you. And Probably not so much in my sort of soccer space, in my football space, but in my AFL space. I had tore some ligaments in my foot and tore some bone off and that, and we had was it a final? Yeah, had a final. A week, 2 weeks later, and you just they say you're not going to do any more damage. Oh, well, let's go and have a go. It's an hour and a half of footy, and you'll get through it, and you can deal with it later. And as I've gotten older, I've probably become a little bit more careless with that sort of stuff, and because the injuries probably come a little bit more frequently. But no one knows me for my soccer, very little, probably apart from you. Know me for my soccer feats, because I guess what I've managed to do in my AFL space is probably, I guess surpassed a lot. But I still have my baggy green cap and that for my soccer, and you can't sort of forget your roots, I guess. But yeah.
Well, look, I think that's I think a lot of that is timing. I really genuinely think, because I was watching the soccer back then. Like I'm a soccer tragic, and like I watched that game and I was like, yes. Well, the highlights, because as you said, I only played the highlights.
Yeah,
and it was like really, really cool. Just kind of watching it. So that's actually what I associate you with. But going back to that first rep game that you played, was that for Queensland?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were playing for Queensland and go down there and play in the Victorians. That's Geebung Polo Club kind of material, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get up?
Hey?
Did the Queenslanders get up, or did the Vic?
No, absolutely not. I think we won one game or two games in that national championships, and people say to me, "Oh, you would have loved playing in the AFLW." I said, "Yeah, but at the end of the day, you've got to have people that paved the way and are those pioneers. And if it's not your time, it's not your time. And but to be able to play some part in I guess other
blazing that trail.
Yeah, and
totally.
I've still played for Australia in with soccer and named All Australian in AFL and played international rules for Australia. There's a lot of people that haven't had those opportunities.
And that's it. I mean, really, so that's, technically speaking, that's 3 sports that you've got to the top of. Like that's no small achievement. I'm sorry to get all fanboy, but it's true. It's true, Jane, mate. It's like 3 sports that you've kind of. Okay, I mean, there is a similarity. They're all ball kicking sports, but AFL is not the same as international rules. And Joe Butland's advice for people out there, like, what do you want to tell the good listeners of Northern Vibe?
Put me on the spot, Matt.
That's the way I roll, mate. That's the way I roll.
I don't know. I guess whatever you decide to do, I'm a good country person. I think you just, if you want to go and do something, if you want to try something out, just go and have a crack, because you won't know unless you have a go. And that's in anything that you do. But again, I do, it's not hard to be a good person. And, we, well, it is for some people. But if you can try to find a way to be a good person to other people, things will come. Like, you'll find that good things will come. And I think you have to have a little bit of that belief, especially if you're young. You can't just be cynical. I think you can be a little bit more cynical when you're older. But I think we've got to find a little bit more good you know, in things that we do. And if you can find that, then at least you'll be at peace, and you'll know that you've had a crack at things.
Yeah, better to give it a go and not be perfect than to let it go.